Thanks so much for chatting to us, Christen. I suppose welcome to England, welcome to the Women's Super League. You've obviously played in Europe before. What exactly was it about United and about the Women's Super League that made you want to come and play here?
Yeah, the league is getting better and better every year. It's going to be super strong this season. So it's exciting to be a part of a team that, is in the running to win titles, to qualify for Champions League, and to be at that top. I think it'll be tough, and the strongest teams here will be a challenge, and that's why I'm here to help with that challenge and to help the team compete for titles.
And are there any particular players or teams that when you were joining you were like, yes, I can't wait to play against those people, that's going to be very fun?
Yeah, I think just in general, a lot of the top players in the world are in this league now. So that's really exciting. When I came to Europe previously, I really was quite sheltered from the European game, and I had never played for the national team at that time, and so it's quite different now, having played with so many players, in our American league and against so many players at the international level. I think there's a strong familiarity and a lot of rivalry.
Yeah, and you talked there about the fact that you'd never really been exposed to European football the last time you came here. Do you think that's going to make it easier for you to adapt? Because obviously there's a very different style of play here to how there is in America. It's a lot quicker, it's a lot more athletic. Do you feel more prepared for that challenge now, or are you still a little bit nervous about it?
Oh, never nervous for a challenge of any kind. But I think my experience being here before is definitely an advantage. And just knowing that you're going to have to adapt is already a head start. And understanding how the culture of a place kind of affects the football, and how kind of trickles down from just the way people live to the way people play. It was one of my favorite things about learning when I was in Sweden, about how they're just culture and people really showed up in their game. And so now coming here, I have eyes wide open, trying to learn about the people, about the country, and about the game here.
And Casey Stoney said when you arrived alongside Tobin and Alicia Russo that was a statement to the league about what Manchester United wanted to do this season. What sort of are you aiming for with this season? Are you gunning for top three? Are you gunning for the whole title? What would you like to achieve over the next couple of months?
Yeah, for me personally, I will always say that I'm here to win. So I think that's just the top priority. And obviously, the game is shaped slightly different here, where there's multiple opportunities to win titles. And so, and there's more opportunities to qualify for other tournaments, which isn't what we experience in the US. It's sort of one team wins or you bust. Those are the two options. And so here, I think it's just all going to be about winning titles. And that's the cups, that's qualifying for Champions League. I feel like that's a kind of a title in itself, especially for a young club like Manchester United.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So Manchester United have taken a very different approach to growing their women's teams compared to, say, City or Arsenal or Chelsea. A lot of money has been pumped into those teams, whereas United have very much said from the beginning, we want a more natural culture. We want to build a team. We want to build a fan base. Was that attractive to you as a player when you were looking at possible options of coming over to England?
Yeah, I think that there is something quite special about a team that is really dependent on unity and discipline. And just in the early stages of being here and watching the team, you can really sense that it's a really tight-knit group and there's great leadership. And I think, there's other environments that I've played in and that I've been successful in that have a lot of high-profile players. And, you can still have discipline and you can still have unity, but it's really hard to come by. And I'm really excited to, as I get to know the team better, to figure out, where I fit in. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes to hard work and sticking together, I'm all about that.
Yeah, and it's such a difficult time to come into a team anyways, because you had to quarantine when you came over, and then we also had Euro qualifiers over the weekend, so I'm sure there's probably been lots of shifting within the team. What have the last couple of weeks been like for you, just coming to England, getting settled, meeting possibly not everyone, meeting at least part of the team?
Yeah, so obviously I quarantined for 2 full weeks, and I'm a very easy person when it comes to stuff like that. Like everyone here is like, oh, it must have been terrible, but it was actually quite nice for me. When I got to my first training, I was already adjusted. I'd already been eating the food here. I could sleep through the night, and that's not usually going to be the case traveling back especially from the West Coast. And so there's a huge advantage there. It also just like emotionally let me settle in, have some meetings with the staff, watch the team play in 2 games, and I think those are all huge advantages. And then obviously coming into our first training, it's been small group with most of the team away, and I think also that has really played in our favor just because we've been out of team training for 6 months. And so getting, a smaller group of people where, you start to learn the names easier and you're playing kind of more technical type sessions, I think that's really going to help kind of build in to when the rest of the team and the rest of the group gets back this week.
And then obviously you're going to be working under Casey Stoney, who's like one of the most exciting young managers. She's done it as a player. What's it been like working with her, and like what sort of conversations are you having with her about what she expects of you coming over into this team for like one season? Because it's a short time. A lot can happen, but it is a short time to acclimatize and get used to the football and also get used to a club.
Yeah, I think Casey's reputation is really, really strong, and it was a strong reason that I felt that Manchester United would be a good fit for me this season. And getting here and meeting her and hearing how her staff and her team speak about her, I don't think I've ever heard and seen people speak more highly of a manager. So that makes me incredibly excited to grow and learn under her. And still have a lot of conversations that need to happen to really understand her full vision for this season. But I think that one thing that I admire is just a humility that she has and that she expects all the players to have every day. And I think that's, such an important thing when you're trying to have a growth mindset, is to bring kind of just like a work ethic and humility.
Yeah, definitely. And then we were talking a bit to Tobin about this as well, but we also have the Manchester Derby. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's really exciting. But the WSL is interesting in that a lot of people expect it to follow the Premier League in terms of the rivalries and stuff. But I think and it doesn't always necessarily, because obviously the teams are very different in how they play. But I think this year the Manchester Derby is going to be particularly exciting. So obviously you have Sam Ewis and Rose Lavelle, who I've talked to a couple of weeks ago, are going to be there as well. Are you excited to like start maybe a new history there and like get more fans involved and get more people interested in the different rivalries that are going on in the league?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we experience this a lot in our domestic league, but of course, like, the teammates that you go to war with in one environment become your enemy in the next. And it's really fun. I think it's fun because our national team is hyper competitive. And so we're kind of used to bringing that every single day in training. And the fact that it's going to be able to carry over into this league and that we're all living in the same city and we'll get to see each other as it is safe and, kind of experience something similar in a similar moment. I think that will be actually really unifying and awesome for us. And then, of course, at the same time, they become our fiercest competitors, and they're playing for our rival team. And I think all 4 of us will really enjoy that.
Definitely. And then coming over here, it gives a very different slant to like everyone's style of play, coming into like a very exciting international few years where you have the Olympics, you have the World Cup. How do you think the national side is going to benefit from you guys having the experience here? Because obviously we're at such a transitionary period, I think, with the world women's game. And I'm really excited for the upcoming tournaments because I think we're going to see more competition than ever before, which may not be as exciting for you if you want to keep winning stuff, but also it's really exciting as a fan and as like a lover of the game. So what do you think players coming here will give the side when you go to the Olympics and the World Cup?
Yeah, I think the experience is invaluable. And I saw that last time I played in Europe. You learn so many different elements of the game. You learn different players and you see them in a different light. International football is like always a shooting star kind of moment, and you come into this like high pressure situation, and some people shine and some people don't. And being in a club environment, you take things a lot more slowly, and you're able to learn, and you're able to kind of see people and their flavor, and then kind of get to know them as as deep inside of who they are and why they tick. And I think that exposure to different types of people, different types of upbringings is huge for me. I think it's one of the things I love the most about the game is just how it offers the opportunity to always learn, to always get better. There's no such thing as perfection. And so the more exposure you have, the better off you are.
Definitely. It was something Vera Paul said over the weekend when Ireland were playing Germany, and she was talking about that very thing. Like, you don't, until you play with someone or against someone, you don't know how to beat them. So it's important to get those chances in. And another thing that Tobin brought up that I thought was really interesting, she was talking about how here there are so many opportunities. You mentioned it as well. There's so many opportunities to win different cups and play against different clubs and different leagues. Is having more of a crossover between like the US League and the European League something that you think should be like looked at seriously as an option to kind of improve not only fans' knowledge of players across the water, but also just for the general excitement? Like, it would be so great to have NWSL teams coming up against teams from Spain, France, like Lyon, I know have played over there. There's been friendlies, but there hasn't been that same sort of kind of club competition.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. And I know a lot of the European teams come on the men's side for like pre-season games. And I think they've like very lightly introduced that in the NWSL maybe last season. And I think, that you can only learn and grow. And I think the difference in style becomes even more apparent when you have two club teams going up against each other. So it's really interesting, and it'd be really exciting for fans to see.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.